Hi there, welcome back to the dojo. I am Russ Leach, I'm the comic book black belt, and this is one of a series of videos where I'm going to talk about this book, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. There are lots of books out there that profess to be able to teach you how to draw comics, and a lot of them are really good. But this is the daddy. This is the book. If you've got one book to teach you how to draw comics, or to help you how to draw comics, this is the one you should have. It's not perfect, but it is very, very close. It also has one of the finest artists ever to grace comics, John Buscema, drawing within its pages, and Stan Lee writing the book. Now, I was very fortunate to be involved in Draw the Marvel Way, which is similar in its approach. I put in there my hints, tips, tutorials of how to draw the Marvel characters. I've been blessed with being able to draw a ton of Marvel characters for Marvel within these pages, and it was 100 issues over just over 4 years. There were some other extremely talented people involved in the book, and it really is a good book in my personal opinion, but it still has not got a patch on this one. So what this series of videos is me effectively going through all the sections, all the lessons, all the chapters of this book, giving you some examples of my artwork that I feel that I've improved, or I've benefited from this book, and how that works for me. And in the chapters where you draw along, I'll be doing some drawings, and hopefully you can draw along with me, and hopefully it'll be of some use to everyone out there, and if nothing else, it'll be an advert for you to go out and buy this book. I'm using a PDF that I got from an educational download. I will put the link to that PDF in the description for each video in the series, but I can't instill enough in you. Go and buy this book and put it on your desk, because it's an absolute must-have. So without further ado, I'll get on with this episode. So chapter 9, composition. First off, just bask in the glory that is this page here. I don't know how much you can see of it, because pencils unfortunately don't come out too well on the video. It's probably what I'm doing, but they have trouble. But it is just a glorious page. We'll move on. Putting the picture together, composition. Okay, so I'll read through bits and pieces of it. I won't read through it all. Like I say, buy the book. Get this book. Have it on your desk. Always have it on your desk. It's so useful. Call it composition, call it layout, call it design. It all adds up to one vitally important point. You've got to put your picture together so that it's pleasing to the eye and it gets the message across clearly and interestingly. The one crucial rule you should never forget is the simpler the design, the easier it will be for the reader to understand and enjoy. Make your designs exciting, startling, powerful, but keep them simple. Let's consider the facing page, which is what you're seeing now on your screen. Something else you have to consider is the content of each panel. So obviously that's obvious. What I mean by that is from a story perspective. So your writer has given you the script. It may be that there's too much in one panel, or there's too little. You may suggest to your writer, look, there's 7 panels on this page, this should be 8, or we need to move a panel over onto the next page. These are all things that you have to take into account with your composition. So before you actually put pencil to paper, as it were, you've got to think to yourself, is this working? Are these, is there enough in this panel? Is there too much in this panel? And that has a huge bearing on how you compose that panel, so that you've got the right amount of story going on in each panel, so that you can make your composition simpler, more straightforward, and so help the story get across. That's sequential art for you. So if you look at the shading area once, and each example, you notice how each of the elements panel fall within the shaded area. What's going on here is they're showing you graphically the important aspects of every panel that's written down here, that's printed down here. And if you look at that bottom panel there, you can see it's the figures coming towards you. There's no background whatsoever. In the top left panel, you've got a lot going on. There's lots of background, or there seems to be lots of background even when there actually isn't. But it's the action that's important, and that's telling the story. Once you train your eye to find such patterns, the most complicated picture will lend itself to similar analysis as soon as you look at it. As a matter of fact, let's turn the page and study some additional examples. Let's do that. That top panel is a perfect example of appropriate composition that's leading the story, that's telling enough in that one panel, and is dramatic, and has energy as far as the design of the panel, as well as the illustration itself and the movement of the story, pushing the story on. You can see the rats close to the point of view of the reader, the camera as it were, and then in that mid distance you've got your protagonist, whoever that might be, the guy who's running away from the rats screaming, and there's that fantastic drama of the distance between the two. The rats are very small but you're very close to them, and the guy's very big but you're far away, and that's working. It's adding to the drama, but also the dynamic of the visual aspect of the panel itself. There's more going on in these others here. The panel on the bottom in the middle here, sorry, I'm just gonna have to decline that. The panel in the middle here, it looks like a curvy panel. The reason that it's working at all really is because of this soldier's head on the bottom right hand corner. So he's giving an amount of depth, an amount of three-dimensionality to the panel. If that wasn't there, it would be quite a flat panel, and actually it seems that a lot of art is done these days and it's very flat. All the angles are the same, and it doesn't work. It doesn't drive a story forward particularly well, and it makes it very boring visually to look at. And at the end of the day, it's a comic. It's supposed to be fun to look at just on its own without anything else. I have a feeling that a lot of that is down to artists using too many 3D programs, using too many programs to create their figures three-dimensionally and then trace them over the top. And that's not to say that they're not skillful and they can't do that kind of thing. They may well use it just for speed. But what happens is you start relying on those images that you get, and you start missing seeing things like depth and drama to angles and all kinds of stuff like that. You start missing that stuff, and because of that, all the panels start to look very similar because you're at the same camera angle. And personally, I wouldn't go that way. I'd always try and generate my own environment in my head and get that down onto the page, onto the screen, whatever, and that creates a dynamic visually, and again engages the reader and pushes the story forward. We move on to this. Is a great example. This example here, we've got a composition of this bottom panel with Captain America. It's only line work, and yet look how focused we are on Captain America there. We're sweeping in over the top of the two foreground characters, then into the midground and through into the captain. I've got a similar thing going on here with the splash page for Storm Chasers 8, where you have the two largest characters closer to you. You're at a sort of a 3/4 height, so you're looking slightly down, sweeping through over the heads of the two characters in the middle towards our heroes that are in the middle of this dungeon or whatever it is that they're in. You can feel the drama there. Things are going on, and you've got when I say drama, I'm talking about the drama of the elements being staged, as it were. They're going back. You have figures that are closer to you, figures that are further away, and you have that difference between the visual aspects. So you've got interest there already without even thinking about the drama of the situation or the energy that you might create out of anatomy. Just literally just having those figures closer to you, figures further away, and thinking about the three-dimensionality of the scene, and where it is, and swinging the camera around to get that dramatic viewpoint, as well as telling the story well, of course. I've got another one here where you're looking down to the in Doctor Who, I think this is a black hole reactor. You're looking down the shaft of the black hole reactor, and it's almost like they're being told to walk the plank over this reactor. And then, without requiring it, you come up, okay, and just leaning over the top here, we've got one of the aliens looking over the edge, looking down onto the Doctor. No requirement for that in the story, but what it does is it builds depth into that particular image, and so adds to the drama of the literal artistic drama of it, of the shapes and the perspective, and then adds to the story as well. And then we sweep down into eye level in front of the Doctor, and in the background behind the Doctor we see the bad guys, and it works. It paces the story, but it also shows composure. When you're composing within each panel, it shows what you need within that panel. Go back to here, and that's exactly what's going on with Captain America here, and with Kirby's panel. Is you're sweeping in, there's drama with the shapes, so there's that artistic drama, and then there's the actual drama of the story, because you're focusing in, you can see you're surrounded. And just more of the same thing, you know, seeing these shapes and looking at how each panel is composed and how it works. Another vitally important element of design is the so-called camera angle. Obviously, you as the artist can draw a scene from whatever camera angle you desire. You can look at the scene head on, or you can tilt the camera, the viewer's eye, upwards or down or sideways, or whatever way you wish, to your own taste. And it goes on about that here, and it's a fantastic example. It's just so much more dramatic, bringing the camera around and tilting it over, and straight away you've got something going on. These are fantastic examples. The top left, you look at that and you think, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's great anatomy and what have you. But you know, you expand the body, bring the arm up, and then pull the camera higher. Suddenly, you've got drama. So lifting the camera away from eye level will always add energy into the panel. And then this bottom one, where are we? I've got to do that. Again, sorry if the pencils aren't as easily seen. There we go. Doctor Doom there. You're looking up into his face. So his eyes are a bit crazy. He's animated. He's at an angle. He's tilted. And you're looking up, so you've taken that eye level, you come away from that eye level camera angle, and it creates huge drama, both visually and from the story perspective. And then we look at this page. So let's play a game. Let's take a typical Marvel comic situation, something that might happen in any Avengers story, and draw it in two different ways. The first set of drawings will be fair, the way any comic book company might do it. The second set of drawings will be done in the Mighty Marvel style. The fun will come as we compare the two versions and study the difference. My personal view is it isn't a Mighty Marvel style, really. It's just dynamic storytelling. Now, this, as you can see, this looks perfectly acceptable. It looks fine. Before we even go to the next page, I can pick out that like panel 1 is boring as cardboard. It's just so dull. It's like, the anatomy's fair and everything, but there's no oomph. This thing's breaking through. And then the shock on their faces, nothing wrong with the anatomy again, and they're running towards it, swiping that, and picking it up. The monster picking up Iron Man, and then the Vision and Captain America shocked at what's going on. But then look at this next page. I mean, look at the difference between panel 1 there. I mean, straight away you're closer in on the action, and then in panel 2 you've got this crisscross of anatomy. So Iron Man's leaning one way, Captain America the other, and it's creating these dynamic angles. They've opened their bodies up, they're running forward. The anatomy really picks out panel 3. Panel 4, you've now swung round in the camera angle. You've got a swooping punch, blast lines, closing in on the action again for panel 5 like you have done in panel 1, and then panel 6 doing what panel 2 does, expanding the anatomy as in panel 3, okay, and crisscrossing those angles to make it to juxtapose the two characters, Captain America and the Vision there, and making them dramatic against each other. I don't think I need to read that, but you should read that. And in here, this is a classic, because this is the one that gets shown on the internet quite a lot. And the problem with these examples is that John Buscema draws so damn well. He just draws so well that when you do look at something that's supposed to be an example of how not to do it, you just think, wow, this is fantastic. This is wonderful. The figure drawing is wonderful. The facial expression is fantastic. But then you just flick between the two. I mean, that top left-hand panel, and then moving that top left-hand panel to this one, you can see the difference. It's and all that is just a tilt in the body movement. So they're tilting the anatomy and then tilting the camera. Actually, even the camera hasn't tilted. He's just leaned in. So that isn't even done with camera angling. That isn't done with depth. All that's done with is body language. And that's just incredible. And the second panel is simply just an angle. Again, you're at eye level, but there's something about the angle. Then you go into the 3/4 for the the close-up on the guy with the cigar. Again, 3/4 again, where they're chatting, just to add some interest into your panels by having different camera angles and different positions of your characters. And it does it around that. That's perfect on the way out. That last panel where you see a close-up of the hand and the scar and the guy looking over his shoulder. John Buscema is acting there. He's acting for himself, and that's how the drawings end up on the page and end up being so energetic and so interesting and pull you into the story. You gotta remember, you're acting all the time. So composition, hugely important, right from the composition, literally about how you put your figures together and their emotional output, through to what's in the panel, how much you put in a panel. Don't put too much, too little in a panel, and the composition of literally of the scene, of the depth, and angles, camera angles, and where you put them if you tilt things or whatever, and then not using eye level too much, and then the panels on the page themselves. In these particular examples, we've got a 6-panel grid, and that's something that I'm using for Only Death Can Save Us, because I want a particular look. But you can use all kinds of panels. Like for instance, in my work in Doctor Who and in Storm Chasers, as you can see, I'm trying to go for the drama, as far as different angles, different positions, using perspective, using depth, but at the same time I'm changing up my panel shapes, and I'm moving them about. So it's also that composition of the page layout and keeping it interesting, but it depends what effect you're going for. There is no right or wrong. There is only, does it tell the story correctly? If you do too much with your panels, sometimes you can just make the story awkward to read. So story is king, and getting the story across via your sequential art before you apply the script. You must be able to look at the story and go, I can follow that without any script. And then when the script applies to it, when the word bubbles, when the text is put on top, that's when it all comes together. And as you can see, that where I'm trying to change in the composition here, I've got a close-up of the bad guy, and then a close-up of his hand, and past his hand you see into the mist, and the 3 characters turn up. They come out of the mist and knock him out, and you've got this big flashy middle panel, and then a 3/4 isometric almost view to change it up. so that you've got something slightly more interesting to look at, and it draws you in. As soon as you change angles up, it helps drawing the reader's eye into the next panel. If it's just the same panel, it becomes more difficult. And then if you can see this, because of it's all in pencil, composition of like a battle page. And again, this is where it's a different kind of composition. So this is effectively one panel. How do I fit all my characters onto the panel? Where are they as far as depth is concerned, behind each other, in front of each other? How far back does it go? What do I need to do in order to include all those characters in the panel? So there's so many different aspects to composition. But buy this book, put it on your desk, read it all the time, and take it as a guide. You know, it's not the be all and end all. There are other books out there. There are other ways of doing it. I was on Marsh's channel the other day, and we were talking about whether you required definitive rules. You don't need definitive rules in order to make your creations work, but you do need to have a set of guides within you. We all have the same reference point. We all live in the same reality. So it doesn't matter what your style or what your creative output, we all still have that same point of reference. And you have to convince the human mind to come along with your story visually. And in order to do that, some things have to be learned. Basically anatomy, perspective and depth. And then you can do anything with that you want in your own style and however you want to output that. So that's that for this chapter. I'll be back next with the comic page. Look at that, that's just wonderful. Trouble is, you're always dealing with John Buscema's art, so it's just so damn good. It's difficult to add to it, really. But it's my interpretation. This is not a tutorial. This is not me drawing through the book. This is simply me giving you an idea about how I think the book has helped me and how I think it could help you, and I think it could help everybody who's looking to create dynamic, fun, energetic pages for their comic books. So that's it, chapter 10, actually drawing a comic book page. I'll show some of my comic book pages. I'll be around this week and next doing some more live streams. I've got Storm Chasers 8 to finish off inking, and then I'll be full into production on Only Death Can Save Us, and I'll be doing regular live streams about the penciling and inking of that book as I go before I get to crowdfunding and the campaign. So that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching this video and sticking around till the end if you're listening to this now. Perhaps put a like, share, that would be great. That would really help. Subscribe if you like it. If you're already subscribed, humbly thank you so much for subscribing. I always find it amazing that people are interested in what I've got to say and my artwork and what have you. So thank you very much for subscribing. You can find me over at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, or my new book onlydeathcansavus.com, and you can sign up any of those places to my email subscription list, or indeed in the description for this video. I won't be dropping lots of crap in your inbox. I'll just be updating occasionally about the channel and about the book. So you can also find me obviously on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and hopefully I'll see you around in the comments or in those places. I'll be back again with another video for chapter 10 next, and some more live streaming, and that's it for me today. So thanks for joining me in the dojo today, and I'll see you again in another video real soon. Bye bye. Thanks for watching Comic Book Black Belt. If you've enjoyed the content from this video, please like, share or subscribe, and come over and follow me on Twitter. It's been great having you in the dojo. See you again soon.